how you go about providing a world-class service to your clients and how you show up in the world matters tremendously. It honestly makes your work that much easier. So what I want to go over with you here today are 5 steps for making that happen. All right, everybody, we're back with a brand new Integrative Health Coach Success podcast. Excited to have you ringing in the new year or soon enough in just about another week. What I wanted to do today, though, was share with you how to build a world-class brand this next year, or whenever you listen to this show and are getting started. So you might be saying to yourself, who am I to create a world-class brand when maybe you're just getting started or you just started working with your first handful of clients? Well, the truth is that if you can already start with the end in mind, it will make you better today. It will be a guiding light through which you make your decisions. Plus, whether you end up having the #1 book in the world or #1 practice in the world, that's irrelevant. But how you go about providing a world-class service to your clients and how you show up in the world matters tremendously. It honestly makes your work that much easier. Not in just providing a great service, but in getting clients to approach you, you getting your clients to stick with the actual program you give them, which is a lot of what we teach in IHP Mastery, as well as getting referrals, right? So there's this like triage or trifecta of, okay, I'm going to get better at my craft. More people are going to approach me. They're going to stick with the program more often and consistently, and I'm going to get more referrals. That's exactly what all of us want. So what I want to go over with you here today are 5 steps for making that happen. And I always try to teach in less than 5. So whenever possible, again, I don't want to give more than 3 tips or 5 tips because it's hard to stick with all of them. So we start with always the beginning. Now, we've got lots of individual podcasts, webinars, et cetera, for anybody that graduates from level 1. That's in like the bonus business course that we give all level 1 graduates. And you'll notice that there's really one best way to start a practice. There really is. It's focusing on helping one person. Now, you might say, of course, you have to start with one client, help them, and then you build on your results. It's actually not that, not exactly that. It is helping one type of person. Yes, some people call it your avatar. Some people call it your niche. I've done a few shows in this. I'm probably not going to keep talking about this as much the next year, but it's so vitally important. If you try to speak to everyone, you speak to no one. If you speak to one type of individual, Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, migraines, PCOS, endometriosis, muscle building, like whatever it is, if you speak to that person, you will know exactly how to solve their problems, what they worry about, the program that they need. You will master that category, which is my part 2. So first on like bottom line, creating a world-class practice, a world-class brand, a world-class career. Who do you help? It should literally be in the bio of your social media. I help X to achieve X, right? I help women with PCOS be able to lose weight and feel great in their bodies, like whatever you want it to be. But it's like, I help this individual do this, right? I help migraine sufferers live pain-free. Or I help menopausal women take back control of their body, mind, and mood, like whatever you want it to be. Or I help men over 50 rebuild their bodies and live longer, stronger. I'm like literally just kind of riffing and just coming up with all sorts of different ones, right? I help women with Hashimoto's to improve their energy, remove their brain fog, and boost their metabolism. I'm just giving you some simple ones, but you need to call out who you are as a coach and who you serve. That's the one person. Now, can you work with other individuals? Yes. But you're making it really difficult for yourself and you're swimming upstream if you say, I help everybody everywhere all the time. Because you're not speaking to that one person who wants to be spoken to directly. Okay? Really important. Now, part 2 is what's the next step to creating that world-class brand? You become an expert in whatever that thing is. Think about it. With an IHP education, you know all the different labs, especially if you're on level 2. You know how to help in general, you know how to help people. But how much easier is it to take that IHP knowledge and then deep dive in one area? Like you take your level 1, level 2 curriculum. You can run your big 5, you can run your starter kit, you can run your stress, mood, and metabolism, and you know about the 12 reasons why someone has imbalanced thyroid. And then you go through all of the Cabral concept thyroid podcast, there's like 50. Or you take the Thyroid Accelerator course, Health Results Accelerator course, and you just master that one thing. You will know more than 99% of all doctors about the thyroid. And that's not me throwing any shade onto other doctors. It's just they don't study those things. They just don't. Your endocrinologist does not necessarily, unless they've done a lot of postdoctoral work, they don't know how copper affects the mitochondria and the thyroid. They don't know how selenium is used specifically. Like they just don't. And if they did or cared, well, then they might look at your selenium levels, right? They might look at your iodine levels. They might look at your gut health if your TPO antibodies are elevated in Hashimoto's, but they don't, right? So you can help so much in that area. And yes, you will be an expert. You'll be an expert. You can become an expert and I know people don't like me to say this, but you can become an expert in really anything in 6 to 12 months, honestly, because you're not saying that you're the best in the world. You're saying that you're better than 99% of the population. You know more than. You're an expert in that, right? So like if you go through IHP, maybe you do IHP mastery, maybe like whatever you want to do, and you listen to all the thyroid podcasts, you do the Thyroid Accelerator, whatever it is. Trust me, when you're walking down the street, you know more than 99 out of 100 people. You know more than 99.9 to be honest, right? So you are an expert. So you can be world-class in anything in 6 to 12 months. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Best in the world? No. Better than 99+% of people? Yes. That makes you qualified then to be a coach. It really does. You're not saying that you're the best in the world, but you are truly an expert in that space. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Number 3, research all of the questions that your niche ask, right? So let's say that I'm working with a woman with, let's say PCOS. Okay, so I'm looking at low vitamin D. I'm looking at higher levels of insulin or blood sugar. I'm looking at elevated levels of cortisol. I'm looking at elevated levels of androgens like testosterone. I might be looking at lower levels of progesterone and estrogen dominance. There are other things as well, but like that's really a lot of what I'm looking at. Okay, so I know now a lot of the things that I'm going to look at in order to help this individual. There can be gut issues. There can be high levels of omega-6s. There's, like I said, there's like a dozen strong things we want to look at. But I also want to know, I want to speak their language because they're not asking me about elevated evening cortisol, right? They're not asking about that. They're saying, why do I feel like I'm retaining water? Why is it really stubborn? Like I have this stubborn body fat when really it's a lot of inflammation, water retention. Why do my doctors keep telling me I should just go on birth control? Why do I have dysregulated cycles? And like, why do I have so much inflammation? Why do I have disturbed sleep? Why do sometimes I get night sweats? Why do I get more facial hair growth? Like, so you want to be able to speak that language. So you're now, again, you're building this world-class brand because of the language that you speak. When I started the Cabral concept, I purposely spoke in the vernacular of the everyday person. I purposely wrote the rain barrel effect in normal 6th grade level conversation. And that's not in any way trying to be demeaning, which it's not. I'm not at all. Because here's why. When I don't understand something, you need to explain it to me as a beginner. When you're talking about taxes, you need to talk to me at a 10 to 12-year-old level. I don't have any of that specific knowledge. And that is how we need, not condescending in any way, shape, or form. But again, if I start to talk about using the word androgens, or, I start to go down a rabbit hole, people tune out. They're like, no, this is way too complicated. This person's not the right fit for me. But if you can use some maybe of the health-based jargon and then relate to them where they're at, that is how you connect. That's how you build a world-class brand. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I used to, when I first started, and a lot of us make this mistake, used to talk above where my clients were at or patients were at back in the day. But I realized, and it was actually the help of a close friend and client of mine, they said, you're not talking like you. Why are you using all of this speak that people can't connect with? And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm not serving anybody to the best of my ability and for the greatest good by talking like a medical textbook. And from that moment on, I said, yeah, that makes sense. There are other podcasts that are going to talk like that. That's not who I am. I want to help the greatest amount of people that I can. And I'll never be able to do that without having a normal conversation. So learn everything you can, but be relatable to your clients. All right. Number 4, create content now on social media, articles, email, etc., based with just that one person and their questions in mind. You're basically going to think of a question they have or a problem, and you are going to offer a solution or underlying root cause or case study. And if you do that, you say, I understand what you're going through, I'm relatable, and I have the solution. But you're not going to come out and literally say those words, right? So when you're saying, listen, I get it. You're probably suffering, if you have PCOS, you're suffering from oily skin, maybe thickening of the facial hair or body hair, increased cramping or bloating around your cycles, or maybe ovulation, water retention, low mood, irritability. I get it. I understand, right? You're literally like, that's how you're talking. Oh, yeah, this person gets it. They understand. Here are what I found to be some of the underlying root causes. When I was just running a lab with this client, this is what I found to be helpful. We worked on that with that client for the next 12 to 16 weeks. Here is where she's at right now. That's powerful. I personally don't even do that enough. That's the truth. I should be doing more of that. That is what people relate to. That is actually what's most beneficial. And always create content, not with the hope of getting another client. The goal is always to give. If you give freely and you give everything that you have, trust me, the law of reciprocity will make sure that you're also taken care of as well. Don't hold back. All right, the 5th one is this. This one's a little bit more around what you might have thought this show was creating more of your brand in terms of your presence, who you are, what you create. I love people's photos on their website to be a representation of them. I like the clothes they wear to be a representation of them. I like the colors that they use to be a representation of them. And then I like them to create 1, 2, or 3 handouts or guides in their practice, not right away, not when you're first starting, but maybe like 6 months or 12 months in, that represents who you are and how you help. So it kind of uses your image and your colors and those things you can give to clients, which does what? Elevates your brand. Like, oh, this person has a professional PDF created, which, by the way, a professional PDF is literally a pages or Word document that you've designed nicely with a header and a footer that might have your website that's clickable, and then an image of you or whatever you're looking to convey, and then nicely designed. And you can use a designer on Fiverr or really anywhere else in order to be able to get that done really inexpensively. Like a 1-page worksheet might be like $15 to $20 to have professionally designed. You just give them the image, the words that you want, put up the job, boom, it's done. Like literally and then you have that 1 page forever. And you could also make it editable if you ask them to make it editable as a Word document or a Pages document. And you can do that. So that's super simple. But everything then a client sees around you and your brand has this feel to it. They kind of know what to expect. And when it's not all disjointed, people are like, wow, this is a real professional brand. And what happens when they think that they're working with a professional? It goes back to you get more people to reach out to you, which is always nice instead of you reaching out to other people. You get clients to follow their protocol to a greater degree because they're more confident that you're going to give them a plan that's going to get them results. And then number 3, they refer more often because they know that you're going to take great care of whoever they refer to you. Hopefully this was helpful. I hope that each and every one of you listening to the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast is going to develop your own world-class brand this coming year. Take care, everybody. For all the show notes, the big takeaways, head on over to ihp.coach/294. And if you haven't already looked into the Business Mentorship Experience or IHP Mastery, they start this January. And they are a 6-month course. BME, Business Mentorship Experience, is all about creating a career you will love, starting from scratch or just getting started, all the way through having a business and a career and taking on clients. And Mastery is teaching you how to become a life coach, life coaching skills, adding that to your repertoire of health coaching, but creating consistent change in the most challenging clients. And sometimes that's you. You can find those at ihp.coach/BME or ihp.coach/mastery. Take care, everybody. Have an amazing rest of the day. We'll talk with you soon.